Irish guy, and let's all throw our heads back and cackle to the point where we sound like the Joker drinking a liter of children's cough medicine. Let's all pretend like we're sitting in the front row of a Michael McIntyre gig. Actually, to be fair, if I was doing that, I wouldn't be laughing at the child-friendly Disney jokes about how wacky it is to nibble chocolate toast in bed. Nah, instead I'd probably be trying to eat my own face or just plan my escape up the nearest fire exit. But lads, right now, everyone is laughing at Newcastle United for getting a horrible Champions League group. Right? I'm sorry, is this some sort of joke? Newcastle have been placed in the Champions League group of death, and people seem to be reacting to this as if the Geordies have just been told to marry their mum. Newcastle have been placed into Group F alongside PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and AC Milan. And people are laughing.
Arsenal, no excuses. Man City, strolled in the park. Man United, beware Galatasaray. Newcastle, ha 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 ha.
I'm confused. This guy, yes, this guy is a European expert on football daily, and this is how he sums up Newcastle's Champions League group, repeatedly punching 2 letters into his keyboard while spooning handfuls of Nutella in his mouth. This man is full on belly laughing at Newcastle for being placed into a Champions League group with Europe's elite clubs. But his laughing is completely misplaced. I mean, would you also laugh if your sister tells you that she's going on a date with Harry Styles? Would you also barge into a restaurant and point and laugh at the guy who's got a Ferrari in the car park? This Champions League group is not to be laughed at. It's to be envied. Newcastle United have just won the lottery. I mean, let me get this straight. Newcastle fans, after spending 20 years outside the Champions League, as 4th seeds, were supposed to pray for an underwhelming group? I mean, the easiest possible first seeds they could have got were Sevilla and Feyenoord as 2nd seeds, and then Copenhagen as 3rd seeds. I mean, does that sound like an exciting group to you? To me, that just looks like a Europa League group in disguise. Right, well, Sevilla are bottom of La Liga. They've lost over 30 games inside the last year. But yes, Sevilla, Feyenoord, and Copenhagen would have been about as difficult a challenge as, I don't know, trying to arm wrestle a spider. It's just easy. But for Newcastle fans, it would have been about as exciting as being given 2 tickets to see Jonathan Ross pick his belly button on stage. Yes, they've been handed a tough draw, yes. But I mean, do you reckon people were laughing at Logan Paul when he was given a once-in-a-lifetime crack at Floyd Mayweather? No, this is a dream tie. Traveling to Borussia Dortmund to watch the Yellow Wall. Literally going to the San Siro. Or you just know there's going to be many songs about, have you seen a Mac in Milan? Price of the literal Newcastle United CEO was mocking Sunderland in his post-draw interview.
PSG, Dortmund, AC Milan, Newcastle. That is horrendously bad. Imagine waiting all that time to get back into the Champions League, and that's what you get.
Right then, are Newcastle supposed to be envious of Liverpool's European group then? Playing against the mighty Union Saint-Gilloise, Toulouse, and Linzer Athletic Sport Club. Yeah, 2 of those clubs sound like Wi-Fi passwords. One of them has a smaller stadium than Derby County. The other has a smaller stadium than Barnsley. And finally, little old Union Saint-Gilloise have a smaller ground than Shrewsbury. So, perspective, please. I mean, when the excited Man City fans finally got into the Champions League in 2011, they were given a pretty decent group. Bayern Munich, Napoli, and Villarreal. And Tottenham, the previous year, their debut Champions League group was Inter Milan, Werder Bremen, and FC Twente. That just looks so Europa League, it's not even funny. Honestly, Spurs fans won't want to admit it, but forget the Gareth Bale hat-trick moment. That was the most anticlimactic Champions League group they could have gotten. When New Money Chelsea got back into the Champions League after a few years in the wilderness, they were given a group featuring Lazio, Besiktas, and Sparta Prague. Lads, these are all Europa League level groups and would have been so anticlimactic and underwhelming. Even Arsenal, they have not seen Champions League football in 6 long years, and they're gearing up for Sevilla, PSV, and Lens. Again, that is a Europa League standard group. When Brendan Rodgers clawed Liverpool back into the Champions League in 2014 after a few years away as well, yes, they were given Real Madrid, but they were also given FC Basel and Ludogorets Razgrad. Lads, these are all ugly broccoli-themed groups. So can you appreciate now why Newcastle fans are blown away by what they've been given? Honestly, it is tasty. Why do people think that Newcastle have 0 chance of making it out of this group? I'm not going to make any predictions for Group F now. I'll leave that for my actual Champions League predictions video. But what is so scary about any of these clubs? Last season, AC Milan reached the Champions League semi-final, yes, after beating the mighty Dinamo Zagreb, Red Bull Salzburg, Tottenham, and Napoli. Is that it? They also lost 14 games all season long, including getting battered 4-0 by Lazio and 5-2 at home to Sassuolo. They lost 2-0 away at Spezia, who got relegated to Serie B. I mean, Borussia Dortmund are fresh out of bottling the Bundesliga title race, selling their best player, and clearly have a mouldy hangover. On the opening day of the season, they nicked an unconvincing last-minute home win over Cologne, then laboured to a 1-1 draw with VfL Bochum, and finally absolutely choked away 2 points in a 2-2 draw at home to newly promoted Heidenheim. Something which sounds like a brand of ketchup for cats. Yes, PSG are a scary prospect on paper, sort of. I mean, Luis Enrique's men just had a complete summer of utter turmoil. This club is a distracted mess right now. They're locked in contract talks with Kylian Mbappe again, after threatening to bench him for the entire season. They're like that weedy, pathetic husband who won't accept that their wife wants a divorce and just begs her to
think about the kids. Please come with me for a naked brunch. I'll buy you a croissant and a strawberry pie, honest.
Last month, Luis Enrique was literally considering quitting as manager before he'd even taken charge of a single match, and they began the season with a 0-0 draw at home to Lorient. But look how different this PSG 11 looks. It's almost unrecognizable. Sure, you've got Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal, and yes, Achraf Hakimi is a familiar right back, but a centre-back pairing of Milan Skriniar and Danilo Pereira, that looks odd. You've got newbie Lucas Hernandez chucked in at left back, and a midfield three of Vitinha, Manuel Ugarte, and Warren Zaire-Emery. A literal child who was born just 4 months before the Zidane headbutt, and then a front three of Lee Kang-in, Gonzalo Ramos, and Marco Asensio. This PSG team could be anything. This is a completely new look PSG. Players who've never really played together before. They need time to gel and click. So are you telling me that Newcastle can't get at them? Look at the caliber of experience and leadership that PSG have lost in one summer. They have lost a bunch of blokes with 10 Champions League wins between them. There's 2 World Cup winners in that list. One of them is 7 Ballon d'Ors. Sunderland are laughing at PSG for going to Newcastle. I'm sorry, does anybody at PSG even know who Sunderland are? I mean, probably actually, because they just sold them defender Timothy Pembele this summer. You reckon anybody at PSG even noticed that he'd gone? No, I mean, there were probably superstar farewell parties for Neymar and Messi. So this bloke, by contrast, probably wasn't even given a goodbye muffin to eat on the plane. Oh wait, sorry, Dougie. Sorry, because Ousmane Dembele was weirdly at a Sunderland match last season because he's mates with the owner, but I mean, ask him to play for the club. And oh no, that's a different story. He would probably treat that request as if you'd suggested that he eat a rat for breakfast. Sunderland have had 4 European games in their entire history. 2 against Sporting Lisbon, 2 against Vasas Budapest, who play in a 5,000-seater stadium in some village in Hungary. And this bloke thinks he can laugh at Newcastle fans when we both know he would probably eat the skin of a badger to even get a sniff of the Europa Conference League. Eddie Howe has barely been in the building for 10 minutes. I'm guessing his office probably still has Steve Bruce's donut stains on the armchair. And yet, despite taking over a horrible team who were bottom of the league and without a single win in 6 months, Howe has beaten Burnley, Leeds, Everton, Aston Villa, Brentford, Brighton, Southampton, Wolves, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Norwich, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, West Ham, Tranmere, and Bournemouth. That is 21 different football clubs who have been beaten by Howe's Newcastle. Some of them more than once, some of them more than twice. What exactly do Newcastle have to fear? Are the Geordies supposed to be devastated that they get the witness Mbappe up close in the flesh? This man has always been the dream. Takeover, mega money, buy, right? Well, it's not fantasy anymore. In 3 weeks' time, he's literally going to be touching down in Geordie land. And considering he's such a PSG rebel and outlaw, would not be surprised to see him break PSG protocol and just pop down the big market for a burger and a pint after the match. Newcastle fans have been starved of having proper European nights for years. The last time they were in a European competition was 10 years ago when Alan Pardew somehow fluked them into the Europa League. They were chalked into a group with Maritimo, Bordeaux, and Club Brugge in a competition filled with European giants. They were just given a knockout tie against Metalist Kharkiv. Oh, thrilling stuff. Up next was Anzi Makhachkhala. Sure, there was a fat megastar and Samuel Eto'o in their starting lineup, but I mean, the guy was probably so bored of life in that country, he'd probably sat off training for a week to just eat Burger King with his mates. Newcastle's last Champions League season was in 2002, when yeah, they played against the proper European powerhouses like Barcelona and Juventus. But honestly, between 2003 and 2007, these were the clubs they'd faced in European competition. Ever since losing a Champions League playoff penalty shootout against Partizan Belgrade, they were just given these mouth-watering ties. NAC Breda, Basel, Valerenga, Mallorca, PSV Eindhoven, Marseille, Benai Sakin, Sochaux, Sporting Lisbon, Panionios, Dynamo Tbilisi, Heerenveen, Olympiacos, Celta Vigo, Fenerbahce, Palermo, Eintracht Frankfurt, Zulte Waregem, and AZ Alkmaar. Where exactly are the exciting European giants in that bunch? It's like reading through the dullest shopping list in the world. It's just your mother asking you to bring back vanilla yogurt, cauliflower soup, and toilet paper for your nan. It's just after doing another poo on the kitchen floor. You know what though? When this group was made, part of me though thought how fitting would it be for Newcastle fans if they were given the Sir Bobby Robson group. Barcelona as top seeds, FC Porto as second seeds, PSV Eindhoven as third seeds, and finally Newcastle United as fourth seeds. If that had happened, then I would instantly start to believe in ghosts, because Robson managed all those 4 clubs in his career. This would have been the perfectly nostalgic jigsaw puzzle. I think the Geordies would genuinely attend every single match with tears in their eyes, as if they just rubbed peeled onions on their face. This group has so many tasty subplots for Newcastle. You've got Sandro Tonali, whose granddad was an AC Milan ultra. You've got him returning to his former club. You've got Alexander Isak hungry to prove Dortmund wrong for ditching him after just 5 Bundesliga games. Honestly, that German club's decision to sell him to Real Sociedad for just £5 million, that was about as clever as stealing dog biscuits from a wolf. Can you imagine a partnership of Isak and Erling Haaland? They'd have won the Champions League. Newcastle have waited 20 years to get back into this competition, and they're supposed to be devastated about getting to travel to Paris and Milan, about welcoming filthy world stars to St. James's Park. Isn't that the whole point of getting into the Champions League? Because you want to play against the best? I'm not going to give any predictions yet. That is going to be in my huge monster Champions League predictions video coming soon, but what do you think? Should Newcastle fans be in a fetal position, crying into a bowl of ice cream? Or should they actually be excited? Honestly, everybody laughing at Newcastle, I just don't get it. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? What should Newcastle fans be happy? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.